All right. Looks like we are on. People are starting to come in. Candy, take it away.
Welcome to YouTube Backstage. And I am really backstage. Look, I'm going with a theme today. We're going
You've got
live every
curtains.
Friday around noon. I know, backstage. We go live every Friday around noon Eastern, and we're taking you backstage on how we're growing this YouTube channel. And we hope you find it helpful for your YouTube channel. And one of the things that we're doing today is making Jerry really uncomfortable. I can't wait. This is Jerry, your pain is for other people's education. It's important. Today it'll be important. But this is we're really gonna be looking at the good stuff and the bad stuff so we can all learn faster. I think I learn faster. I mean, learning through failure. I think I learn faster that way. My name is Candy Harper. That is Jerry Potter. Hello. And why are we making you feel particularly uncomfortable today?
Well, we're going to go through and watch the retention graphs on my worst performing videos from the last year or so. And a retention graph is basically where YouTube shows you where people leave your videos. And so, it's sort of the digital version of imagine that you were on a stage and people start walking out in the middle of your talk that you're giving or in the middle of the lecture that you're teaching, right? Yeah, like Candy just did. I don't know if you went to get something or if that was just to bring the point home. But it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. And looking at analytics I've gotten way better than I used to be, but it's not a great feeling. And so that's why it's definitely uncomfortable. But real quick, I just realized because we are basically doing an autopsy on dead videos today, I just thought of something I should wear for this. So here, you stall for a second. I'll be right back.
He said stall for a second. I'm obviously on location. I am hiking. I'm on a hiking trip with my teenager who I got separated from yesterday on the hiking trail. He was with another group of people and he did not have his phone because we were going screen free to do a nature hike. And so I couldn't communicate with him about 2 miles up the road on the trail. And he told the adults around him, don't worry, if there was a real problem, my mom would whistle. And so he then had to explain to people my whistle. I cannot do it now because I would wake up this entire hotel, but I have one of these.
Yeah, don't.
And I won't. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. But the rule is I'm only allowed to do it outside. So I'm glad to know that he has at least learned something in his 16 years, that if there was ever a real problem, he would hear my whistle and we would still be able to communicate.
There you go.
All
okay.
Right, you wearing a lab coat?
It's my medical examiner coat. We're doing an autopsy, right? We're going to autopsy these videos. So I figure
Yes.
this will be perfect. So, all right. Welcome everybody, by the way. Before we do this too, Candy, like how confident are we on your internet here? I know we have at least a slight delay.
Oh, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Not confident at all. You might hear me whistle in the event of an emergency.
Okay. That is that was my question there. So, all right. So, let's see. Let's check in. Would love to know, where are you watching right now? And by the way, our live stream last week got a ton of comments. And then when people watch the replay, they feel like they can't comment. There's separate comment sections on YouTube. So if you're watching the replay, please share as well. Mike says the doctor is in the house. Welcome, Mike. So let us know where you're watching today, either live or replay right now. Would love to know that. Okay. So what we're going to do today is we're going to watch some of the worst retention videos that we have. Let me fix our graphic problem here real quick. And the goal here is, like we've talked about, having other people submit their videos and then watching them. But even watching them yourself is painful. And so I figure I'll take the hit so we can learn together from my mistakes. So here's the plan. First, the importance of retention. The longer somebody watches your video, the more YouTube will look for another viewer just like that to recommend your video to. If you have a 10-minute video and people drop off after a minute, then they're not going to keep recommending your video to new people, okay? So we're gonna look at 3 of my worst performing videos. They are varying lengths and retention problems on them. One of them lost 32% of the viewers in its first 8 seconds. Imagine being on a stage and a third of the people just walk out. I don't even know how you wouldn't, like, you'd have to acknowledge that, right? And then Candy,
Let me ask you something.
yeah.
Sorry, I was going to ask you something about retention specifically while everybody is checking in. Hi, Naples, Florida. Where are you at? Montana, UK. Melissa, Fort Worth. What's up? Quebec, Canada. And so, one thing that I was going to ask about any retention for a YouTube video from a business owner are those, what did you call them? Drop off points, cliffs,
drop
edges,
triggers.
drop triggers. Drop triggers. Are all the drop triggers the same?
Oh gosh, no. I mean, I can tell you one that we're not going to watch today, but I was analyzing one of my videos the other day, and it was a sponsored video, and there was this huge drop all of a sudden. So I went to look and see why people dropped off, and it's where I talked about the sponsor. So it's the same people that people walk away from TV when a commercial is playing, right? So some you can't avoid.
Okay. Hi, Detroit, Vancouver, Canada, Birmingham, Alabama. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, I love all of this.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Candy, why don't you write down the drop triggers as we go? So I'll tell you, okay, that's a drop trigger. Let's write it down. You have something in the hotel room that you can write with. And then,
write on my phone. Wait, napkin. Hang on.
Okay, there you go. And then at the end, we'll recap the drop triggers, especially if you miss one or if somebody comes in late or anything like that. So, by the way, what we're doing today is not something that I do regularly. Like I have this monthly, 10-minute routine where I check my analytics, and then I only allow myself to make changes to 2 videos. This is something we teach in YT90 Growth Lab, this monthly routine. But this is not something I do monthly. So I think this will be good for me as well. So what we're going to look at today, I'm in my YouTube studio, which you can access yours at studio.youtube.com. I'm on the content tab, and you want to go down to the analytics tab, or actually, sorry, first we want to pick a video that we want to analyze. And so let's see, first one I wanted to analyze was actually a more recent one, this one here. So you would go in like you would normally edit it by clicking the pencil. And then you're going to click the analytics tab here on the left. And it's right in that first tab at the top, overview. So we scroll down, and then you can see here it says key moments for audience retention. Okay. So this one is actually pretty good retention. This isn't one of the ones that we're analyzing, but I wanted to show you a couple of things that they have in here. So first thing is, this gray area that we see. This is the typical retention for videos on your channel around this length. Now, you have to have enough recent videos that are about that length. So some of mine, there weren't enough because it was a weird length that I don't make very often. So this video is like 7-8 minutes, and so this is comparing it. And so the blue line is the retention for this video, which means this video did better than typical, except at the end. You can see there was a big drop off here at the end. If you put chapters in your videos, that's what these dotted lines are. So if we hover over that, it says why reading on camera looks so bad. That's a chapter. Go to the next one. Stop reading your video scripts. How to use a script but sound natural. So those are actual chapters. You can see, it's important to know, like, chapters is where people will skip ahead. And so sometimes here, like you can see this actually goes up right here. That is because probably somebody skipped to the next chapter. They got bored of whatever I was saying the one before that. But the most interesting thing, and it's sort of terrifying thing to know about retention, is it actually is already down at 0. So if I can hover my mouse here at the 0 mark, if I can get it to show on this one, this is, let's see, that's at 4 seconds. It's already down to 80%. Okay, I don't know why it's not letting me show at 0. Let me try this other view. People are already gone when you start your video, which is a weird thing. There we go. So at 0, it's already down to 89.1 seconds, or 89.1%. So like 1 out of 10 people has already left as soon as you start. So it's not going to start at 100%. This happens because somebody clicks on your video and realizes it's not what they wanted, or they clicked it by mistake and they hit back immediately. If the internet is slow for them and the video takes a few seconds to buffer, they might lose patience and leave before the video even starts. And you also can't look by date at all when you look at retention like you can for other things. So sometimes it's like the early days when YouTube is trying to find the right audience. Okay. So I just wanted to point that part out so far. So as we dive into the first bad video we're going to look at today, any questions around that, Candy? Any thoughts on there?
Yeah. What I get it when we're looking at the graph of this particular video.
Yeah.
What is considered good? Or is there a standard?
Yeah. There's no standard. If you've never looked at your retention graphs, just lower your expectations. It's YouTube. They're watching a video. There might be 10 more suggested on the side. If they're watching on their computer, they might have to also have their phone. They might get a text message, a phone call. If they have a smartwatch, their smartwatch might notify them. It is not it's not a theater where somebody's sitting there watching you on stage. So generally, if I get a video that's over 60%, I'm like, hey, that's pretty good. But the main thing is you are just looking to compare it to your own videos. That's where you start.
Okay.
So if it's better than your average, that's why that gray graph I think is helpful. That's really all we can kind of hope for with that. So great question though. Okay. So this video is called The Trick That Got Me 100,000 Views in My First Year on YouTube. And it had some retention issues, which we'll look at here in just a second. But I really thought this video would do better. It's a really good trick if you haven't seen this video, and it's good social proof, right? The video that got me, the trick that got me 100,000 views in my first year on YouTube. But I would love to know real quick in the chat. One thing with retention is the video the length that you would expect it to be? So if you saw a video that was the trick that got me 100,000 views in my first year on YouTube, how long would you think a video like that might be? Let us know in the comments here real quick, because again, one of the things I tell people is if you're a new or a small channel, if your video is 5 minutes and the videos from bigger channels are 20 minutes, and my perception is this is a 5-minute solution, then I'm going to possibly click on the 5 video no matter how many views the other one has. So let's see. Mike said 5 minutes. The Happy Music Teacher said 15 minutes tops. Okay, because the title, it says The Trick, right? So in my mind, that kind of says simple. Dr. Missy says 12 minutes. Diana says 8 minutes. Let's see. Carol says 5 years ago, I would have thought 45 minutes. Now I would expect it to be a minute or less. Okay. I love that, Carol. So what I want you to see here, literally everybody was all over the place with that. And so it's not an easy thing to figure out. Now this video in reality is under 4 minutes. This is another reason that I thought it would probably do well with this. So, all right. So let's look and see exactly what happened here. This first one, as you can see at the very beginning, it dropped real quick, right? A lot of people left right at the very beginning. So I'm just going to play back sort of the first 30 seconds or so. I'm going to play back to see how long did it take me to get to the point. Okay, let's look at it that way. This is the uncomfortable part for me, but let's take a look. So when I started this channel, it took me 6 months to hit 100 subscribers. 6 months of creating and posting a video every single week. And I seriously thought my channel was dead and was ready to quit. But one little tweak, which I didn't think was that significant at the time, changed everything. And by the end of my first 12 months on YouTube, I had over 100,000 views on my videos and eventually went on to over 100,000 subscribers. So let me break down what changed, because it wasn't luck. I'll show you the exact things that I added to my titles, and then at the end, I'll tell you what they all have in common so you can apply these to your own videos. My channel at the time was primarily social media. All right, so that's about where I actually get into it, and it's almost 40 seconds. So Candy, go ahead and write that down. That's definitely our first drop trigger. Is way too long of an intro. But I would love to know in the comments right now, and again, whether you're live or replay, how did that make you feel? Especially if you didn't know who I was yet. Did that feel long? Did it feel was there something in there that would make you click away? because we can, again, all trying to learn from each other. But yeah, Candy, you've probably never seen this video. You've never seen most of my videos. What was your perception watching that? Were you wanting to click away? Were you wanting to click the 2x button? What?
Well, you started with an emotional trigger, and that's not what people came for. You were trying, I think that's what you said, it's the one thing, but you started with the emotional trigger to get people invested, which made it feel long. The emotional trigger was fine, but maybe it just needed to switch. Took me from this to this, it was this one thing, and then you do the emotional trigger, because now I'm still invested because I know you had success with the one thing. I want to see what the one thing is. So I think it was just maybe switching. In my mind, that's the way that my writing went. Yeah, it was a mismatch.
Okay, right. That's a good drop trigger. Mismatch with what they thought it was going to be based on the title and thumbnail for sure. Let me just play the first few seconds again. So when I started this channel, it took me 6 months to hit 100 subscribers. 6 months of creating and posting a video every. Okay, yeah, it was definitely an emotional trigger, which was what I was going for. But you're right. I think that does go against kind of what people thought that the beginning of it should actually be. So let's see. Christian said it did feel a bit slow. Happy Music Teacher said I would click away because I want to get right to the point. Mike said, when you said, let me show you, the bleeding stopped. That was, I like that we're going with the autopsy theme here as well. It felt long, but it was really interesting, so I'd keep watching. I felt like you were making promises I couldn't relate to, says Gord2440. Okay. Interesting. And Shannon says, I would have liked you to lead with the big wow 100K thing by doing one thing. Yeah, and I think that's that mismatch that Candy brought up as well. Linda said, would analytics show people if people fast forward to another point in the video versus leaving outright? Yeah, great question, Linda, and absolutely. So when you're looking at your retention graph, sometimes you'll see a spike up. Like, I don't know if you can see it well on this screen, but right there is a little spike up. Here you can kind of see it. It goes up. Of course, then you can see it go down. And you'll often see those. This one is actually at a chapter marker, but that is where somebody either skips ahead, so there's more viewers at that point than there was 5 seconds earlier, or they watched it more than one time. Because a view is a view, right? So if somebody watches something twice, then that actually makes that line go up. So great question there. Okay. Really, really good, brutal feedback. I appreciate it. Okay. There's this drop here at 3. Let's see. Where are we here? Right here. We see this big drop go down, right? You see this sudden line. So let's just go back a couple seconds before and see if we can figure out what happened there. All right. Okay. So I was giving 5 tricks in this videos and topics, something that shows that you have a better outcome or a better process. So you might add something like in only 5 minutes, or the simplest solution, or the fastest way. Never mind. I know that one. I gave the last thing, right? It was 5 things. So I guess we could write that down as the value ended. I'm going to write down the drop triggers too, just in case Candy's internet decides it's not going to, her hotel internet decides it's not going to work. Yeah, that's an obvious one, but that's something that's really important. And one of the things that I tell people when I'm giving them feedback on a video is the moment you give that last piece of value, like point them to the next video you want them to watch and get out as quickly as possible. Now, this is tricky here because we still have, another 30 seconds. And that's because I revealed the last thing, but then I also kind of explained it. So that's a tricky one. But if we go ahead to the very end here, let's see what happens here, because that's obviously the biggest cliff we see in the whole thing. Click the video on the screen and I'll show you what they are right now. And that's the end screen thing. I'm totally fine with that drop happening there at the end. So, all right. So value ended, mismatch, long intro. That's what we found in there. Thoughts before we go to the next one, Candy? There's that delay.
Did you want me to write down premature value?
Premature value?
As in a drop trigger? You dropped out. Yeah, that's what I put. Premature value, like you revealed the value too soon.
Yeah, that could work. I wrote it down as value ended, but yeah, premature
Okay.
value could
Value
be the
ended.
same thing. Yeah, giving it out too early. I think that definitely works. So, let me share this
All right.
comment from Carol because this is, I think this is interesting. To be honest, these days when I hear stick around to the end, they will tell me at the end. I often go look for a different video. If the main
Mm.
if the main promise is I'll tell you at the end, I would absolutely bail too. What I usually try and do is have like a bonus tip that will be at the end. But yeah, if it's the main promise at the end, I would absolutely be bounce from that as well. So okay, let's go to our next one. So this one is called "Why Are YouTube Videos Get Ignored? Get More Views Now." So I think on that one I was trying to get the keyword "get more views," I think was the keyword, and that's why that title was there. But if the video was called "Why Your YouTube Videos Get Ignored, Get More Views Now," how long would you expect that video to be? Let me know in the chat right now, and then we'll look at some slightly different things with this retention graph. How long would that be in your mind if you clicked on it,
Say the
Candy?
title again.
It's called "Why Your YouTube Videos Get Ignored."
Why do YouTube videos get ignored? Oh, I don't know. That's a 5 to 7 minute video, maybe, because it sounds like it would be listicle with multiple reasons.
Hmm. Okay. What if it was 99 reasons your videos get ignored?
For me, that's kind of fun because I envision it pop-up video style, which is like, I got 99 problems. So like that would be fast, like pepper spray them and then maybe only focus on 3. For
Okay.
me, that's creatively, that's fun.
Interesting. Okay. Mike says 5 to 10 minutes. Geneva says 12 minutes. We have 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, 7 minutes. These are much closer, you notice, than the last one where the perception was all over the place. So I just think it's always interesting when you get people together. It's like, how long would you think a video like this would actually be? So a couple of things
It's
that I
based
wanted
on
to...
the title.
Yes, based on the title or the or the thumbnail. Yeah.
Mhm.
So a couple things with this one here. So you can see the average percentage viewed was 45%, which is fine. You'll notice there's no gray line on this one. And that's because apparently I don't have a lot of videos that are around 6 minutes. Oh, by the way, this video is just shy of 6 minutes here. So, but a couple of interesting things with these. If for some videos, you'll see this thing called top moment. And you can click on that and it'll give you a little compliment. Nice work. But it'll show you this section where your retention held really steady. And so sometimes it's good to go back and look at those moments and just see exactly what you were talking about at that point. If I click on the... Okay, so it looks like I was probably going into the second thing there, the second invisible barrier. So I think those moments can be helpful. And then also sometimes you'll see a dip or 2 dips. So if we click on a dip, it'll actually identify, hey, look, you lost a bunch of people right here. So let's actually go back a little bit before that one and then see what happened in the video. So let me give you an example. Let's say you work with service providers and you were going to make a video called "How to Improve Client Onboarding." Well, unless somebody is thinking, I've got to improve my client onboarding right in that moment when your video might come up in their feed, they're never going to click on that. So instead, you'd make a video. That's interesting. I gave I gave the point, it looks like, and then I gave an example. I went above and beyond. I even mocked up a fake thumbnail for it. Why do you think people dropped off? Let us know in the chat right now. Candy, any thoughts on why people would have, like, there would have been a dip there?
Well, you're being very specific about service providers and client onboarding. If I am neither of those things, you give me 2 reasons to tune away.
Okay. Okay, that's a great point. And one of the things that I tell people when we're getting their channels going or we're getting their channels focused is be as specific as possible with who you are talking to. And I tell them my channel is too broad. It's for online entrepreneurs. It's primarily like expertise based. So that sort of coaches, consultants, membership site owners, service providers. So that's a great point. And if I was starting over, I would have a much more specific niche. So maybe write that down as audience mismatch. for a specific part of the video there,
For
which would
examples
make sense.
specifically? So
Yeah. Yeah.
would that be only use examples that directly relate to your ideal client? Trying to think of how
Yes,
to
but if your
right.
if your channel is narrow enough as it should be, then you won't have this problem. But yeah, Mike said the same thing. Maybe they couldn't relate to service providers. Let's see. Dr. Missy said, I agree with that. Not so many service providers as audience. Linda said, I agree, although that's my area. Carol said, what Candy said. Yeah, okay. That's, wow. This is helpful because honestly, I was like, is it because I gave an example? But yeah, you absolutely nailed it. But of course, it
Yeah,
also
it was
backs
that
up.
ugly thumbnail. That ugly thumbnail turned people away. That ugly fake thumbnail. They were like, ugh,
Is that what it
who
was? It was
used
the ugly.
goldenrod as a background color? What are you
I
doing, man? Yeah,
I
no.
think I just took a straight up. I think I just took a straight up Canva template and
Yeah,
dropped it
probably. I think so.
in there. Yeah, yeah. So, okay, let me show you one more thing here too that you can do with these. So at the bottom of this, where we're watching these, you can click See More, and it opens it up on a bigger screen. And you can do the same thing and play it back, but you lose some of the features that are in the chart. But over here, you can actually go in and look at more information about how it's performing with different types of audiences. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say new and returning viewers. And what it's doing is it is showing me retention for people who have seen my channel before and people who haven't. Wow,
Well,
look at
that's
that.
cool. I didn't know you do that.
That is a big gap. So if we look down there, the retention average percentage viewed for people who had seen my channel before was over 3 minutes, 52%. For new viewers, it was 145, less than 30%. So I think I think we clearly can see that whatever the content was, it wasn't interesting enough to somebody who didn't already have some know, like, and trust built out with me. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Third one that we want to look at. So this one is a little bit longer. This one is a little over 7 minutes long. And if we come down here to the retention, so the retention was really low on this one, 35%, 2.5 minutes on a 7-minute video. This is the video that lost 32% of its viewers in the first 8 seconds. Okay. If we come in here to the 8-second mark, we are already down to, 69. I think it's about 68, 31, 32%. So let me play the intro of this one and then you can, I really do appreciate the brutal honesty as people are doing this. Part of me is like, when Candy and I worked in radio, one of the most uncomfortable things is we would have to go sit in the boss's office and then they would play a recording of our show and then basically tell us what we did wrong. The good bosses would tell us things they liked as well. Sometimes it was just, here's what you did wrong. Here's why you're going to fail. All of that, which is brutal. And I'm having some flashbacks from that, but I know it's helpful. So I really do appreciate that.
I did not mind that as much. I'd be like, oh, really? That's interesting. And basically, they critique your personality like the entire time. What you said there was really aggressive. Okay, have you met me? So it's kind of one of those things that you get used to doing. I think if you have auditioned enough, like that is kind of you've done it enough, you're more accepting of like notes and feedback, but it's a lot of like brutal honesty.
Yeah, you still have much thicker skin than me, so that doesn't surprise me at all. But in radio, we really were being judged on, do people like you or not? And one of the things that I think is a little more comfortable on YouTube is you're being judged by, is the content I created valuable, enough? And that's why I appreciate this feedback, because like I said, we can all learn from our mistakes there. So wait, was there anything on that last one we wanted to add to the drop trigger list real quick before we got to that? No, we talked about the example. Yeah. That was exactly
that made it on the napkin.
Perfect. Great. Okay.
Okay.
All right. We're going to watch the beginning of this one. Again, this is the one that lost over 30% of the viewers. They walked out of the presentation room in the first 8 seconds. So just so we're clear, and you have the full perception of what they were clicking on. The video is called "The YouTube Algorithm Will Never Recommend Your Videos Until You Fix This." And this is the thumbnail you can see here. It kind of says new SEO, and then it shows a growth graph here. If you're posting good videos on YouTube, but your view count is really low because YouTube's not recommending them to new people, it's not because of your editing or your thumbnails, most likely. And it's not the algorithm's fault either. It's because of what your channel is telling. Okay, I want to play a little bit more, but literally, we're already way past the 8-second mark. Anything that you saw that you think would make people click away or would make you click away, let me know in the chat. We'll come back to those in a second. But Candy, anything already that you just went, oh, this is not, I'm not staying?
I'm looking at the title. I'm looking at the thumbnail. And then when you start, the first thing I hear is music and I see B-roll. So it's almost, I'm expecting a very technical type of video that's going to solve this very technical analytical problem for me. But then I jump in and it's a very like curated poppy type of package. So I don't know if that is the mismatch for me. Like if I'm, first of all, SEO. Snooze fest. I'm not clicking on that. I love you. I've had your children. I'm still not clicking on that. But for somebody who wants the SEO and wants the tactical fix, I expect, maybe my expectation would be that would be very fast and technical.
Okay. And one thing I want you to see here too, Candy said, I mean, maybe I'm not typical, or you said something like that, but everybody's different, and it doesn't matter why people are leaving, they're leaving. And all of the reasons are valid. Whatever reason you bailed on a video is valid, and we need to be aware of them. Now, I'm sure there are some people who bail for a reason that nobody else has ever bailed before, or maybe something like that on a specific video. So, yeah. Okay, let me play a little bit more of it here. YouTube's algorithm. And this becomes more frustrating when you see news like this, like YouTube is promoting videos from smaller channels, and you're like, when? So what's it gonna take to get YouTube to put our videos on their homepage, or in the sidebar, or to come up in search results? I'm gonna show you the fix right now, and the best part is you can do this on a brand new channel, or you can do it on an existing broken channel. It works either way. Oh, and YouTube just sent me a package here, and so I figured we could open it up while I am recording here today, all right? First thing that I think would be helpful is that we stop thinking about YouTube. Okay, that's really interesting because I was actually trying a retention sort of experiment in this one. One of the most high retention things on live streams, like there's a guy named Casey Neistat. If you don't know him, he was one of the first big YouTubers, and he would literally just open mail that people would send him on his videos, and people would watch because you got to know what's in the box. And so So I'd gotten this box from YouTube, and I was like, oh, and I'll open it during the video, and then I'll reveal at the end what it was. And it's, I think, you can see it in this view. It's this little YouTube light at the back. So obviously that didn't work, or maybe it didn't have an effect. Maybe it was something completely different. But I totally forgot that was in this specific video. So okay, let's see what you all said in the comments. And while we're sharing these, I would love to know, if you would watch that and you didn't know, try and put yourself in a position where you didn't know who I was yet. Maybe somebody's watching this the first time you've ever seen me. Would you have stayed, or would you have left? Just write stayed or left, or you can use your own synonym like bailed, gone, whatever, in the chat here really quick. Okay. Let me get to the right part here in the comments. Shannon says, a new viewer, a first-time viewer. Yeah, that's somebody who's never watched your channel before. You can also look at subscribers versus non-subscribers, but I think the most interesting one is that one where it's, viewers versus somebody who has seen your videos before versus has not seen your videos before. And I don't know this for sure, but I think it might be something that is they've seen one of your videos in the last 3 months, 6 months, year. I don't think, if somebody watched my channel in 2017, I don't know if they count that as a returning viewer or not. So let's see. Carol said, this whole process would be such a valuable service. Crowd viewing and helping us see our blind spots would be so powerful in improving videos. Carol, I've met Carol in person, and Carol, I think you're more thick-skinned like Candy. I think for some people they'll be like, no thanks, but you're right. And I'll say, my friend Justin Brown, who runs a huge channel called Primal Video, he said the most empowering thing for me and maybe helpful for you when you're looking at your own analytics is there's nothing good or bad in there. You know, we talked about how when Candy and I were in radio, it was like, hey, are people going to like you or not? That determines whether you get paid, you know? It's not that. It's literally everything is either it's not good or bad. It's just interesting. It's just giving you information so you can change what you're doing, which is interesting. So, all right. Gord2440 said, not talking about new SEO right off the top. Okay. That's interesting. What did I say at the beginning? Let me go back here. Just play the first. Okay. That's a great point. This is one of those things where I probably had multiple thumbnails, and that was just the one that ended up winning the thumbnail test. That is definitely a risk. If you test multiple titles and thumbnails, you are at risk of not matching, because you can't have three, you know, you can have 3 titles, 3 thumbnails. You can't have three versions of a video. So yeah, Candy.
Has anybody else noticed this when we're talking about these drop triggers? It has a lot to do with matching. The title working with the thumbnail, but matching expectations, matching that first 10 seconds of the expectation. Yeah. And if any of that is not aligned, I'm out.
Yeah. You know? And, you know, when you're running a channel for your business, like some drop off is actually a good thing, because there's no point in having people who are the wrong people watching your videos. You know, what will happen? Let's say that you, and I've been guilty of this. Sometimes I'll try and like capture that bigger YouTube audience, including like creators and influencers. And you know what happens if I've, you know, finally realized, you know what happens if I have a video that blows up because a bunch of creators like it as well as entrepreneurs? YouTube tries and goes to find more creators who will like that video, who again are never going to enter my world. They're never going to join us in Activation Lab or Growth Lab. Like, that is not my audience. And so it really is, it's tough because the views feel good, right? They're good for our egos, but we really want the right people there. And early on, if the wrong people are repelled, that's actually a good thing in the long run. And so, and I've, you know, tried to lean into this more on my channel in the last couple of years. Is maybe some of these videos are the exception, but really trying to do that. But yeah, that's a great point. So Shannon said, I care less about what I see, more about what I hear. Diana says, Candy, you are hysterical. There you go. Mike said, it levels off when you said you were going to show it. Dr. Missy says, I love a good unboxing. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I didn't, you know, do it for that long. So, all right. So if you didn't know who I was, would you stay or would you go? That's what we were kind of asking here. So Dr. Missy says, would have stayed. Let's see. Gord2440 says, lots of quick cuts took away from your message. Let's see. Shannon says, stayed. It takes a lot for me to walk away from a video that I think would be beneficial based on the title and description. Okay, interesting. Isn't that why the previous viewer retention is so important to know? Can you say more about that, Gord? Are you talking about like retention on previous videos, or what? If you can kind of specify a little bit more there. And then Dr. Miss says, I will also say sometimes saying or clicking another video depends on my mood and what time I'm watching YouTube. Hard to measure, but they do matter. Yeah, totally. There's nothing, you know, there are some things we can't do anything about. And that's why I wanted to make this drop triggers list so that we could actually see what are the things that are happening over and over again. So we can kind of base things based on that. Okay. So, all right. Candy, let's go through and get your drop triggers list ready so we can recap those. And I would just want to share a couple of best practices as you're thinking about this for your own retention before we do that. Number one, if you can keep 5 to 10% more people past the 30-second mark, the entire graph shifts upwards, okay? So think about this. If somebody is watching one of your videos and they get to the 30-second mark, and this has just been proven from data and studies as well, if they're watching on their computer, they sometimes take their hand off the mouse. If they're watching on their phone or an iPad, they maybe put the iPad or the phone down. That's when they've gotten through that decision phase. So if we look at this graph here, when we got to the 30-second mark, which is the end of this blue line here, I was already down to 55%. So data shows that if I had kept 60% of people viewing, or let's say 65% of viewing still at the 30-second mark, then this whole line would have gone up 10% all the way through. So imagine the impact on that. So that's one thing just to really keep in mind as you're doing that. Another thing that I see a lot when I'm reviewing other people's videos, I call it the question test. At the 30-second mark, has the main question of the title been addressed or at least teased? Podcasts are notorious for doing this. I click on a title, audio and video, and 6 minutes have gone by and I haven't heard the thing in the title. And I'm like, did I click on the wrong episode here? Candy's nodding along. She's like, oh my gosh, yes, yes. So make sure that at least in the first 30 seconds, even if you're not going to talk about it first, make sure you've at least acknowledged it, because you want them to know, hey, we're in the right place. That's the most important thing you can do at the beginning of the video is, hey, you clicked on what you thought you clicked on. And then the last thing is, look for patterns among your lowest retention videos overall. So as we've been looking at these videos, this one here, the third one we looked at was the low retention, or sorry, the YouTube algorithm will never recommend your videos, right? This one was why your YouTube videos get ignored. This one was the trick that got me 100,000 views. Overall, I would say these aren't necessarily my strength. In some ways, they're kind of like hacky YouTube videos. And maybe I should make less of these because I'm never going to compete against some of these channels that have been doing this just YouTube. And I just shifted my entire channel to YouTube focused, helping people on YouTube like last fall. They've been doing it for 15 years and they have audiences of millions and millions of people. And that's all they talk about, for example, is the algorithm and getting more views. So that's a pattern I should probably pay attention to, and something to consider for, for your own as you're looking at that. When you make sure you have enough data. If you're still new and small, like don't panic and go, oh, these are not the right topics, but I think that's definitely a pattern I can see there. So, Candy, any further thoughts on that? And then go ahead and share our drop triggers list. And then if you have any questions, by the way, go ahead and drop those into the chat now. And if you have questions later, you're watching the replay, drop those in as well, and we can answer those. But yeah, Candy, thoughts and our drop trigger list.
Overall, I think you look so good on camera. No, but overall, I think flirting. It was well, stop. I think it is getting to the tease of the promise fast and then adding the hook. In my mind, as a producer and somebody who writes scripts and somebody who does live performance, if I only get you for 10 seconds, I want you to know that you're in the right place and I'm going to give you this thing that's in the title. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like almost flipping that first 10 seconds of the script a little bit. And I do like some of the emotional triggers, and I do like the thread of that story and a little bit of like the origin story and building somebody like, come along with me in this journey and I'm going to fix this. Yeah, I love that. But for YouTube specifically, I almost think that needs to come secondary. Like, I think there needs to be a little taste in the beginning of every video that's like, here's the thing that's in the title. I'm going to show it to you here, and maybe even just like a little clip, like a B-roll, like a little clip of a share screen or something, so they know for sure they're going to get the payoff. So now I'm already staying past maybe that 5-10 second mark. So if I get you for 15 seconds, I already have half the 30, right? And then you're starting to bring me along. So I don't know. That just might be a little bit of a strategy of flipping how that hook works for specific videos. That was my only thing from watching those three. But of course, that's in hindsight. That's why this is such a good exercise today, to make you feel so uncomfortable. You are so helpful. So helpful. Because how would I really realize that until you watch it in a row and you're going, oh, that might be why people are done.
Yeah.
They
well,
didn't think
and
they
just
were the answer they came for.
Yeah, to address one thing that you said, it feels like our delay's built up to about 3 seconds now. But to address one thing that you said there, um, is that uh, the hook should tie back into whatever the packaging is. And if it's complete disconnect, that's not good. And we may, one of these we watched today may have been that, or at least felt that. So I think that's interesting. But this is why people do put more effort. Like even when you're editing, if you can put more effort into your first 30 second, like if you're going to put video effort into one part of your video, this is the part to put the effort in. And sometimes if I'm tight on time, I'll have more graphics or movement at the beginning, and then the rest might not have any. If you were going to decide, I'm going to put 4 graphics in my video or 4 B-roll clips, often it would be more effective to put them all in the first 30 seconds or 60 seconds than to spread them evenly every 2.5 minutes in a 10-minute video. So, okay, let's keep our promise. Run through our drop triggers. What do we have real quick for each one? Thank you for writing them down on the hotel napkin.
First of all, amazing things are created on napkins. Grab a napkin near you, write down ideas. Okay, so we had way too long of an intro. So that was just time overall. The other drop triggers, mismatch of hook and title.
Okay.
That's something we kind of were talking about. I did say premature value, which you had changed to revealed the value too soon. So the value ended.
Yep.
That was the other one. You gave the value before. And then the last one we had written down was example of like mismatch in script versus you were not specific enough on who you were talking to.
Mismatch in the examples. Okay, you cut out for a second there. So, okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing those. I would love to know in the chat right now, what's the one thing you're going to keep in mind when you make your next video? Basically kind of like what was your number one takeaway from today? If everybody shares, it will be helpful for other people as well. And even if you're watching the replay, it would be great if you did that as well. And while you are sharing those, we'll share them on screen here in just a second. If you missed last week, we went through and basically tried to do scripts, thumbnails, and titles. Tried to do 30 days live, but once we were explaining everything, it ended up, we just got through one script, but we went really in depth with it. So that's available there still. Next week is video packaging. So the video that we wrote last week, and maybe a couple of others that I've got, we're going to actually create titles and thumbnails live, showing the tools that we're using, how we're using AI, where we're not using AI, everything like that, for the same videos that we planned in the first week. And then we're going to do another analytics here. I don't like looking at my analytics, even if there's not somebody here in public, but we're going to do something similar to today, but not the retention graphs, but the other parts of it to figure out how can we revive videos that are currently dead in order to bring them back to life. So, okay, let's see. Mike said mismatch of hook versus title. Yeah, and that's a tricky one because I do encourage you to still test your titles. Happy Music Teacher says too long of an intro. Yeah, I try and get to the point in 20 seconds or less. One of my takeaways from today is just to literally look at it and just say, what if I knew that the views would 10x if I could get to the point in 10 seconds or maybe 12 seconds? What would that video look like? And I think some you could and some you can't. I will say sometimes when I'm giving feedback to people on this kind of thing, one thing you definitely want to avoid really throughout your video, but are any phrases that imply that you haven't gotten started yet. So sometimes I've given feedback on a video and somebody has, maybe they do get into the content right away, but then a minute and a half in, they say, all right, let's dive in or let's get started. That basically says to the viewer, nothing before this was important. So we always want to avoid those. Same thing at the end. You never want to say, finally. You never want to say, one more thing. Like you really want to keep that perception that the video is going high. Now, obviously, they can see the timeline, but that's just something to keep in mind. So my goal in the past has been 20 seconds. If you audited my videos from the last 6 months, it's probably more like 25 to 30. But I'm just curious, how could I get it down to 10 or 12 seconds? So that's going to be an experiment that I'm going to run. Dr. Missy said, same, working on strengthening the intro of the video. Gord2440 said, paying closer attention to the first 20 seconds. Christian said, I think the mismatch is my key takeaway. Yeah, and Christian, if your audience is really dialed in, this should never happen. Like if I was just talking to coaches or just health coaches, or just menopause coaches. I have a couple of clients that are menopause coaches right now because this is a growing industry. If I was just talking to menopause coaches on my channel, which is something I might consider if it was a brand new channel, I don't know what the public perception of that would be if me as a guy coaching menopause coaches.
Thanks for supporting the patriarchy further. Great.
Yeah,
fantastic.
thank you.
Good work.
But if that was the case, then all of my examples would be there. And so I do encourage you to make sure that you keep your channel as focused as possible. Then you don't have to think about that. It should just be that. Focus on the first 30 to 60 seconds. And then Christian said the importance of the first 30 seconds in the videos I create. Mike said packaging will be another great session. I hope so. Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be weird doing it in real time. We're going to bust out probably ChatGPT, Nano Banana from Gemini, from Google. We're still doing a lot of it in Canva. And Candy does a lot of our graphic design stuff, so she'll be kind of doing more with that. We'll get you better internet by next week. Dr. Shannon said, hook in the first 10 seconds. When you're done with your last point, wrap it up. This was great. Okay. And then Leanne said, how can I watch last week's session? So if you are on the YouTube channel right now, which I assume you are, as soon as we sign off, just click on the channel name. And then you should, if you go to the channel homepage, you'll see a live tab, and then you can see it right there. So great question. Thank you for asking. And if you want to make sure to get an invite for our future live streams, do go to YouTubeBackstagePass.com, YouTubeBackstagePass.com. We've got 2 more of these in this series that we're doing, and you can make sure that you get the links sent right to you. Of course, if it's never not helpful, you can opt out of those emails and notifications anytime. So thank you everyone for being here. One final ask, if you are watching the replay, please share your takeaways in the comments as well. We'd love to see them, and then they'd be helpful to other people as well. You're going to hold that up there to wrap it up. I cannot read that at all. I think your video is pixelated. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. And we will see you next time. Bye.